Since the beginning of recorded history, and probably for a long time before that, humankind has longed to break free of its terrestrial confines and take to the sky. Whether you prefer to soar like an eagle or scream like a jet fighter, the prospect of flight is enticing and is one of the main reasons I got into virtual reality. A well-made VR flight experience is truly amazing, and I'm always on the lookout for great flying games. So in this video, I've decided to compile my top flying games that you can play right now on the Gear VR. This list is a countdown of what I consider to be the games on the Gear VR that give you the best flying experience. This list does not consider playtime, replay value, mission structure, and so on, and focuses on the question, does this feel like flying? To be considered for the list, the game had to meet two criteria. First, the game has to allow for free flight within an area. This means rail shooters like Space Stalker and Cosmo Warfare are out. Second, the game has to have some kind of flight physics. That is, you have to use throttle and turning controls to move around, and you can't instantly turn your plane or body by looking in that direction. This means that games like Anshar Wars 2, Drift, and Flying Foul are out because, even though they do involve you moving through the air, you can make an unrealistic 180-degree turn simply by quickly looking over your shoulder. It's fun, but it doesn't feel like flying. So, without further ado, here's my top 5 Gear VR flying games. At number 5, we have a tie between Starfighter Arduxum and Vendetta Online. Yes, I know this top 5 list already contains 6 games, but these games feel so close in terms of flight. Both Starfighter Arduxum and Vendetta Online have you speeding around asteroid fields and space stations and warping between star systems. The graphics and cockpit in Vendetta Online aren't quite as detailed as Starfighter Arduxum, but the ships tend to have a greater feeling of mass and inertia. Both games give you the chilling sensation of being alone in the great void of space, and the flight controls in both are tight. Vendetta Online is still the only MMORPG on the Gear VR, while Starfighter Arduxum focuses more on the single-player campaign with a multiplayer mode. But as for the feeling of flight, I think these two games are on equal footing. At number 4, Schwein MMU. Fly through a space station inhabited by a malicious AI in an attempt to get out alive. From the cockpit of your man maneuvering unit, you can feel its weight and momentum, which gives the game a real simulation feel. The controls are some of the most detailed you'll find on the Gear VR, letting you handle all aspects of movement and weapons, plus some customization of your vehicle. Of all the games on this list, I found Schwein MMU to be the least comfortable, particularly when turning, so check out the demo before you buy. Still, the flight mechanics in Schwein MMU are very convincing and make number 4 on our list. At number 3, N-Space. I've previously called N-Space one of the most immersive games on the Gear VR. The cockpit is functional, the flight dynamics are convincing, and the environments are so detailed you want to reach out and touch the capital ships as you pass by. Throttle control isn't quite as fine as Vendetta Online, but dogfighting rebel ships in asteroid fields is a blast nonetheless. Using a controller, you're free to look around the cockpit trying to spot enemies or objectives, and you can practically feel the G-force as you perform evasive maneuvers. At number 2, Overflight. The Spitfire cockpit in Overflight is not only amazingly detailed, but the parts move too. The flight stick moves as you pitch and roll, and the gauges spin as you change throttle and altitude. Looking out across the wings and into the horizon gives a fantastic sense of height, and you can see enemy planes all the way across the game area. While it lacks true simulation-level flight dynamics, it's the closest thing to a fixed-wing flight simulator you'll get on the Gear VR right now. Dogfighting high above the empty countryside feels great as you pull loops and turns, all the while trying to keep track of your opponent through the canopy. The gameplay is a little thin, with the only mode being 4-player deathmatch, but in my opinion, its flight experience is second only to one game. And that game at number 1, Omega Agent. Released in May of 2015, Omega Agent still ranks as my number 1 flying game on the Gear VR and one of the most immersive Gear VR experiences overall. After strapping into your very own jetpack, you get to explore an entire island complete with city, mountain, and underground areas. Fly freely over the whole island in exploration mode or take on secret agent training missions in the campaign. The sheer scale of the environment is amazing and you can go everywhere. The jetpack controls are intuitive, allowing you to speed between buildings, under bridges, and through tunnels. But what puts this solidly at number 1 is how you really feel the height. So much so that looking down from the top of a skyscraper might actually make you nervous. It's a thoroughly convincing world with a well-tuned flight mechanic, and it ranks as my number 1 flying game on the Gear VR. So that's my top 5, or rather 6, Gear VR flying games. But now I want to hear what you think. Did I leave a flying game off this list that you think deserves one of the spots? What are your top 5 flying games on the Gear VR? Leave a comment and let us know. If you like what you saw and you want to see more of this, hit the like and subscribe buttons. And leave a comment telling me what you want to see more of. Detailed reviews, lists, previews, or something else. That's all for this time. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.